You're ahead of me.
We're having a little bit of fun here in the background. You guys are not going to know it because you're not going to see exactly what's happening just yet. It's because we're having a little bit of fun here, right?
So please tell me that's you on the track, though.
That is me on the track. All right, so I've gotten the notification. So if you guys go, bear with us, audience out there. Bear with us. Yes, we're having a little bit of fun here in the studio. If we were to put our cameras on you, all you would see is the tops of our heads, because we're all looking down intently at our cell phones, trying to figure out how to start a watch party, right? Okay, so we got, if we go to, let's see, Go-ABQ or to ABQB2B, the network, it's entirely up to you. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys really, really quickly. Okay.
I win. You win?
You win?
Second place isn't so bad.
Hey.
All I've done is spell.
Well, there's only two of us. So.
Okay, so if I'm on the video, what do I do from there?
Okay, actually go ahead and minimize it. And so what you actually want to do is you want to go to the page, right? So you see this, right, on the page? Okay.
Maybe you have to search the page.
Yeah, sir. You're gonna have to search the page.
Ooh, start a watch party. Okay, I do still.
There you go. There you go. Now start a watch party. And you're gonna get it started right to your personal page.
I'm still behind.
There you go.
You just take over, dude. I trust you.
All right, here we go. We're gonna get magic happening all over the world. Right. Here we go. All right, Tim, Crystal, Jessica. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to show you some cool new things here. So if you guys are with us, you guys are just joining us, we're working to get some things happening. Ana, Marisol, Tamara, Lawrence, Chastity, Crystal, good morning. Ronald Landovaso, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. You guys see the lower third there on the bottom? It is Go-ABQ, the live stream show. That's right, folks. We are transitioning from ABQB2B, the network live stream. Everything is transitioning over to Go-ABQ live stream show. This show will continue more on a monthly basis, and it's going to be community driven in the idea that we are simply put going to really focus our efforts on finding folks that are elected officials, of that nature, right? And they're going to let us know what's happening in their particular neck of the woods and in their business. It's always great when we have a social media guru in the house. He's here to get water, and if you don't know what the water is, well, I'll tell you what, you're gonna have a fantastic time learning about that. Good morning, Mr. Floyd Cordoba. Appreciate you tuning in. And we certainly look forward to... all right, here we go. All right. We're going to go get that turned down there.
Do I
You're going to turn that down. Okay.
have to stay on that page for the watch party?
No. You don't have to stay on the page for the watch party. So we've got all kinds of fun things happening here. And, of course, we've got amazing opportunities for you guys that are out there in Facebook land. Please help me welcome to the show the young, talented Kelsey. Hey.
Hi.
Now, we're working right. We're doing all kinds of fun things. We're doing all kinds of amazing things here in the studio. So ABQB2B has always been and will always be a place for businesses to connect one to another, right? The idea for the show has always been that we share nuggets, powerful information that business owners, small businesses, networkers, network marketers, whoever you are, if you are in business, this is where you would come to get some nuggets on how to further your business, right? Whether it be marketing techniques and tools, right? How to operate the next social media platform, which, by the way, is TikTok, right? Right, here we go.
Get me started on that one.
I wish I had a camera and a microphone for you. I don't. We're talking about social media, and the next social media is TikTok, right? There you are. TikTok is blowing up, right?
Yeah.
So okay, without TikTok in hand, give us your quick 30-second view on TikTok.
Okay.
Right here in the microphone.
So let's see. I haven't done too much content for TikTok, but I really like using TikTok, and especially while you just want to distract yourself and stuff. So let's see. For small business owners, one thing that and honestly, it's kind of more of a platform where you go to find content that's really entertaining. And so it's a good opportunity for you to be able to do really fun things with coworkers, team members, and like anything, whenever you catch yourself laughing at each other or pulling pranks on each other, that's a good time to pull out your phone and create some TikTok content. So yeah, and it's really similar to Snapchat. Snapchat is kind of mainly used for a lot of the younger generation, like oh, okay, there's the camera. So, yeah, I think that's a pretty good thing. TikTok is blowing up. It is definitely, I feel like it will be around for a while. So, the more you practice getting used to it, I think the more you'll be able to whip out your phone quicker and make some good content. And yeah.
There was a similar one though, right? That was like on before that. That was pretty similar to TikTok. What was it called?
A Vine?
Vine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Vine didn't last too long. I'm not too sure why.
So real quick, if folks want to find out more information, how do they get hold of you?
Yeah, so you can go over to thevalue.us at Facebook. It's a community page. Just go ahead and ask to join the page. Right now, my name's Alex, by the way. I'm I'm an online marketer. I'm a content creator, and I'm currently working on a book. It's titled From Extraordinary Effort to Extraordinary Results. The book mainly consists of building a content strategy, understanding how to create content that's based around value for your customers and your prospects. But yeah, if you want to get a hold of me, or if you want to just check out some cool little nuggets of knowledge when it comes to online content and online creation or strategy, yeah, check out thevalue.us. That's it.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Oh, man.
Hey, thank you, Luis.
Now, of course, that's what happens here at the Kangen Water Studios, a.k.a. the Hydro Bar.
Drop in.
Don't worry, we're going to drop those in, right? We will drop those in all day long, right? But absolutely. So this is one of the places where the entire world comes to get hydrated, right? And I have to do the plug, right? Very grateful for Tim Baca. Tim Baca is the Chief Hydration Officer, right? And if you're not familiar with what that is, well, put your left hand out and with your right hand smack the top of it. Shame on you. If you don't know anything about hydration in your life, you're living the wrong life. That's all I'm going to tell you about that, right? But Kangen water, alkaline water, 9.5 alkaline water will do amazing things to your body, mind, and spirit. Yes. I even said spirit, right?
You did.
Yes.
Deep, you got pretty deep.
Yeah, like holy water.
Like that.
There's that Christian coming on.
Yeah, there's that Christian man coming out. Yeah.
He's been here all morning.
No, but I mean, really, what a great opportunity, because Tim had a vision, and the vision was to bring the community together. And he said, "What better way for me to do that than create a place where people can come and get their body in tip-top physical shape by putting the right type of water into it. But let me also create the space where entrepreneurs can congregate, hang out. And let me create a studio where they can bring their content, whatever it may be, and they can share it with the world. And we're all operating as one big happy family here. And so hats off to Tim, the entire team here at the Hydro Bar, a.k.a. Kangen Water Store, right? A.k.a. Team Alkaline Livestream Studios, right? We got all kinds of fun names for everything that we have going on here, right? And you've guessed it by now, we do have a third guest here, right? Let's see. Floyd. Floyd has had a Kangen water machine for 12 years now,
Nice.
right?
Wow.
Hey, Floyd, really quickly, if you don't mind dropping in the comments there, just tell us what some of the top benefits for you in your Kangen water have been, just drop that in the comments. Be great to hear about and know exactly how it's affecting you in your life. Kelsey, how
Your
about you?
spirit. What about me?
How many machines do you have?
Oh, just all the machines.
You have 25.
I do.
Yes, 25 machines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Per sink. Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, you got to make sure that you keep everything where it needs to be, right? Every sink in your household, in places that are far.
Yeah. Even the laundry room.
Even the
sink.
laundry room. Yes. Kangen man.
Doggy bowl. Doggy bowl. Doggy bowl.
Right.
Really good stuff.
For the
Really good
grass.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
So joining us here today, look at that. We've got the wrong idea here. Look at this. I'm being selfish with the camera here.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, all the way from the North Valley of Albuquerque.
All the way.
All the way. It's a long drive.
All the way from the North Valley of Albuquerque. You know him for many, many, many things. I know him as the CEO, the Chief Operations Officer of CAREtactics CPR. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the show, Mr. Joe Griego.
Yeah, should I do a dance? Should I
Yeah.
do a dance?
Hey, dale. Everybody say bye to Alex.
Later,
He's got
Alex.
his 5-gallon jug of 9.5 water. And
Actually on his shoulder.
yeah, you're walking out with it on his shoulder.
Boombox.
Strong-
Hey, listen, if
strong
you guys
guy.
need information, don't ask Joe about the Kangen water. Not until the next show.
Yeah,
We're going to get Joe educated on the water. In fact, we're going to send you home with some water
I like that.
so that you can try it out and see what the benefits are. I'm surprised that Alec hasn't told you about the water yet.
He has actually.
Oh, he has?
Yeah.
Okay, great,
I'm just behind the
fantastic.
ball a little bit. Just been a little busy.
A little busy.
Little
Okay.
busy.
All right. Well, I won't tell anybody about anything, right? But we're talking about CAREtactics, right? And we're talking about CPR, right? And you got a pretty unique story. One that's taken a couple of twists and turns,
It has.
right, in life. And so before we even get started, I like for you to provide us the opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. So tell us what we need to know about Joe.
Man, where do we start, right? No, but I was born and raised here in the North Valley, and had some great opportunities growing up. To play Little League down here, and grew up with a lot of cool people who've done a lot of great things. A lot of people have done a lot of bad things too. That's how it works down in the North Valley. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
But I'm United States Navy veteran, so I had the opportunity to go and serve our country, and that was such an amazing thing. I think if I hadn't taken that turn to go and do that, I would have ended up here doing who knows what. So that was something that was awesome. Learned a lot of things, and I think my parents prepared me for that endeavor really early on. My dad was pretty strict, and that was great. That was something I'm really thankful for now as a man. And I came back home. Had the opportunity to serve our community as a firefighter. Got my EMT license in the Navy, and that transferred over. And then spent a few years there, and that was one of the dead end stories of my early experiences in life. That was a failure that I think that I had to experience in order to grow as a young man, and that's really shaped me now into who I am. So after there, the wheels never stopped turning. I served as American Legion Service Officer for the state of New Mexico for a little while, and helped veterans with their claims and their benefits. And that was rewarding as well. Learned a lot of things there. And during my time as a fireman, I started this company. It was kind of a weird way that I started it. I was teaching out at Acoma, the Pueblo of Acoma, some other people out there.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, you can teach here, but you have to have a business license. And I said, what's a business license, right? What up, brother? How are you? Just saw him at the gym.
Hey.
Yeah, but they're like, you have to have a business license. I'm like, what the heck's a business license?
Right.
So I started this endeavor really not knowing where it was going to go or what it was kind of leading to. And the more I learned about it, I said, wow, and especially as a public servant, how many people are not certified in CPR
Right.
in Albuquerque? And I started to really learn, wow, what is our 911 time? We operate on a 2-tier system here in Albuquerque, and oftentimes, when you call 911, you get a response from the fire department as well as Albuquerque Ambulance Service, which is a division of Presbyterian, and often they operate at what's called level 0, which means there's no ambulances for the whole entire city.
Oh.
Yeah, so people often, they're like, hey, my response time is 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. So I started to kind of see, hey, there's a lot of people who don't have this skill. How can I help make it a better, safer place for us to live, especially for my children to grow up in? So, the business side of things kind of started to take their turn, but my mission never really changed. And then I became a police officer. I spent 3 years as a police officer. And my business just kind of started to grow and grow. And I really wasn't taking it serious because I just had all these other things that I was having to learn. I've been through 3 different academies in my life. So those were time-consuming times of my life. And then I decided in 2017 to take a leap and really invest in myself. So, I took a good chunk of money that I'd saved up and said, okay, well, now it's time to really get a website and really learn about search engine optimization and really learn about marketing and really take this to the level to where it could be a money-making endeavor, but really an endeavor to really help people in Albuquerque. And now we service over like 250 people a month, teaching them CPR first aid. Yeah, it's amazing. We've had some amazing success stories come out of those classes, and people are constantly calling like, hey, I didn't know before what to do when somebody's choking. Now I have the confidence and the skills to do that. And hopefully it's helped out with some response times and given some of these paramedics that work every day in our city something to work with when they get to a patient. So and that's a little highlight. Most recently I took on a political endeavor. I think it was the most natural progression in my public service career to try to take that on, especially this being my hometown and my hometown area in which I grew up and try to represent politically. And that was a great experience in itself. So, I got two kiddos.
Let's talk about that.
Ah, boy. Take me down the rabbit hole.
Let's talk about that just a little bit here, okay? We're just going to make sure I got some feedback here from some folks. We're feeding back just a little bit here on one of the microphones, and we want to make sure that we're not exceeding our levels here. There we go. Oh, we give that a try there. All right. All right, let's talk about that. So we're talking about probably one of the biggest districts in the city of Albuquerque, right?
Yeah, it was.
Is right. And at the time, I think it was probably. Did we have the most candidates that were vying for the district position?
Yeah, I think there's 8 that were really seeking to get on the ballot initially. 6 made it to the ballot. I think 4 of us qualified for public financing, if I'm correct.
Right. So let's talk about that. District 2 spans. It's got. Yeah, I often wonder about how they come up with the districts and how they.
Yeah. Well, it got redistricted. We got redistricted.
Yeah.
What about? I guess 4 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
So it used to kind of run east-west, and now it's running more north-south. So it extends as far north. It's kind of checkerboard, but as far north as almost Osuna, essentially, but really kind of Montano to the the village of Los Ranchos is kind of right there, all the way south to East San Jose. So it encompasses the oldest neighborhoods of Albuquerque, the most poverty-stricken pockets of Albuquerque.
Right.
It's unique. It's very unique.
Yeah, very, very, very unique. And there's a lot of different things that you got to be mindful of. You gotta preserve our historic burque, if you will, right? But you also got to look at the disparities that have happened in some of those iconic places, right?
Yeah.
And you got to serve that also while serving the downtown community
and serving growth, man. That's something that we have to that's a complex issue.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much, and so I would say that this is probably one of the most diverse districts, right, where you have more than one thing to really focus your efforts on, right?
Yeah. Well, there's 65,000 people, right, in that district alone, over 43,000 registered voters. Yeah.
Right.
And then the other unique thing is like downtown. There's not very many people that live down there, but there's over 50,000 people almost a day that commute to downtown. So,
right. So yeah, a lot of interesting things. But you fought a good fight.
Yeah. It was tough to step into that political arena, I think, out of nowhere. And even though my story was good,
right?
I think what I saw was that there's a ton of registered voters. Like I said, over 43,000. I think only a little over 10,000 showed up to vote. But I think that was because there were so many other things on the ballot.
Yeah. Right. It's important. That's one of the rights that we have here as residents, right? Is the right to vote, right? And we get to actually, have a say in what is happening in the community by way of voting,
especially on the local level.
On the local level, right? Where it's most important.
Yeah.
Now, Kelsey, you're not from here.
No.
She's not a Burqueña.
Where are you from?
Kansas City originally.
All right.
Yeah.
You remember the song Kansas City?
No. What is it? Did Slider Dave sing that one too?
Oh, well. We won't go there. It's an old school song. We'll just leave it at that, right?
All right,
But so Kansas City, you stepped into a world here. You've been a business owner here in the Albuquerque
Yep.
market since you've landed here, right?
Yep.
And most recently here with another restaurant here. We'll talk about that here in just a minute. But you also stepped into what I believe is that circle of people
Yeah.
that have a heavy political side to them, if you will, right?
Oh, yeah.
What's your take on what's happening politically here in Albuquerque or in New Mexico?
I think Albuquerque and New Mexico are really cool because there's so much potential, and we're like right on the brink of being a really cool place and having our crap together.
That's why it's so important to have the right people in place.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
And so, like, I chose to move here 2 years ago because I thought there's so much potential for growth, and the business community is amazing. There's a lot of interesting politics.
Oh yeah.
But we're getting there, I think, and I'm excited to see where it goes for sure. I think there's a lot of potential.
Yeah, we're definitely on a tipping point.
Yes.
'Cause, yeah, you look at things like Topgolf moving in, right,
Yep.
in the city. That's amazing. That just shows that our growth is
Right.
right there. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, the economic possibilities here are huge, I think. But again, right people in the right offices is huge.
Right people, right offices.
Aces in their places.
Aces in their places. I like that. Aces in their places. So now we have to understand that that doesn't always happen naturally.
No.
Right.
Or quick.
When you or quick, yeah. When you're going out and you're really rallying, constituents in a particular district, it takes a lot of work.
Right.
When you tell me that we have 43,000 registered voters, I don't know if that's the exact number, but if
A
we
little
have
over and some change.
if we have 43,000 registered voters, but only 10,000 of them are actually getting out to vote, there's a huge disparity there.
Right.
And what's the challenge? Why are we not seeing those 43,000 registered voters get out and vote?
Truthfully, I think that things that are happening on the national level are bleeding over into our local politics, and
Yeah.
people are just discouraged to go out and vote because they say, hey, I don't really have a voice. Do I really have a voice? Does this really matter that I go out and vote?
Right.
So that was one thing that I found when I was knocking on doors was challenging. Like, I don't want to play this,
Yep.
politics are all the same and things like that. So that was a challenge, and just trying to educate people really on how government works is another challenge all on its own.
Right.
Yeah.
We're going to dig into that a little bit deeper here. We've got Brian Colón up on deck.
Oh, that's a veteran. The veterano was over here.
The veteranos, yes, we're a community. We've had great opportunity to live in a place where we can interact with folks like Joe, right? Folks like Brian, right?
And he's a big community activist.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, we're gonna coin you with that same name here. You haven't realized it yet, but
yeah. I started to accept it on this campaign trail. I said, wow, like coaching Special Olympics, coaching little leagues or little league teams. It's been amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, to really get my feet involved in the community and make a difference in some young men and women's lives. It's
well, that's exactly what the Go-ABQ platform serves to do is really get Albuquerque connected in a way that it hasn't been connected before. And when I say that, I'm talking about from a very organic community level, right? Very grassroots, if you will, right?
Right.
In the sense that we're really reaching out to have neighborhood associations participate in the platform, as well as the businesses in the community, as well as folks like the state auditor Brian Colón participate in the platform, so that it's a place to come that connects everybody to everything that is going on in the city, right? What some people may call as important topics, things that other people want to ignore, but it's a place for them, right? To
growth.
How many have to who's playing what games, what little league is playing where, and what does that make sense?
That's cool. That would be great for communities to start showing up to things like that.
Exactly.
And I think we're on the brink of that.
We are.
And I think it's been great to see like transplants like yourself really accept the culture, and then my generation really coming up and you see little things like the Zia symbols everywhere on T-shirts and hats and beanies, and you go to places like Colorado and they embrace their state and their culture, and I think we're on that transition.
Right.
And that's beautiful to see.
Yeah. What I hate is native Albuquerque Burqueños.
Burqueños.
Look at
Burque.
me. I hate when they run down the city. And it's not my place to criticize somebody that's from here, but at the same time, I'm like, man, this place is so cool. It's beautiful. You don't know what you have.
Right.
Well, and I didn't really even realize
that.
how growing up here, it was always like, hey, you got to get out of here. You got to go to here and do,
Right.
there's nothing for you here in Albuquerque. And that's what you always heard,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And then when I went away to the Navy, I was like, wow, I really actually kind of like
Yeah.
Albuquerque. I mean, it's just like a melting pot, and everybody's so loving and so accepting, and you know, it's a great place to be. You could go have a conversation with somebody at Starbucks, or go have a conversation with somebody eating at Barelas, or
Right.
you know, our food's amazing.
Yes.
That it is.
Our
That it
weather's
is.
great.
You know, it's funny that you say that, right? There was a comedian, a national comedian that
saw that.
did you see that?
Yeah, it was
I don't know if you've
hilarious.
seen
was
it.
He's so funny.
Um,
What is his name?
I'll find it for you.
Because I was
in just
going
a
to
minute.
say that and I couldn't think of his name.
Was that cat? Was it? We talking something negative or positive?
No,
'Cause-
No,
positive.
Oh, was it positive?
right?
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
All right, cool.
very positive, right? But you know, it is. You're absolutely right, because growing up here in Albuquerque, you know, opportunity was scarce, right?
Right. Oh,
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe still is.
It still is.
to a certain extent, but you know, we really do have something unique here that not everybody has access to.
Well, even if you just look at our cost of living, right? Our entry
Right.
level for a nice 4-bedroom,
Oh, yeah.
you know, 2-bath home is in the 300,000 range. Where you go to places like San Diego, where people want to live, but you're going to spend $800,000-$900,000, and you have the job to support that.
Right.
So you're right. We're really on that balance, that tipping point. So one of the things, you know, would be some great incentives for people to stay here for growing up here, and you know, maybe to help out with student loans if they stay here and obtain a job here for a certain
Right.
amount of time.
Some way to keep young families here would be huge.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to play this for you guys.
All right. So
Okay. Let's see if I can.
Who is
make-
it? Who is it?
Hold on, let me just start this over here. I'm gonna let you guys listen, right? Okay. This is Josh Prey, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Is the comedian's name, and I just want you to take a listen to this. Well, I'm not going to play the entire thing out, but I just want you to get the gist of it, and I want you to hear somebody else's excitement for the city that we live in, the state that we live in, right? So
I don't know what convinced me to come to Albuquerque, New Mexico, but I came to New Mexico and I was excited to get here. Then I got here. And I feel that the world should know like 5 things before planning that trip to New Mexico. 5. Number 1, if you are looking for a melting pot, if you need to experience
There
some
you go,
diversity and some inclusion in your life, come here. Now, no matter where you go in the world, you're going to have different races and different cultures and different age groups, but it's nothing like here. Like, bruh, I don't ran into every race on the Monopoly board. I'm positive that I ran into an alien, no pun intended, from another planet. You got Mexicans, you got Native Americans, you got Black Americans, you got Haitian Americans, you got Caucasian white folks, you got people from Texas. I don't even know how people from Texas and Florida get down here, but they are here. If you are a person that needs some diversity, if you are a person that needs to experience something different, if you are a person that's tired of being around the same type of humans every day, then I suggest that you buy you a one-way plane ticket to New Mexico. I promise that you will see more colors than Dennis Rodman has ever had in his head. Yeah. Number 2. If you need another condiment to put on your food, New Mexico got this stuff called green chili. Bruh. Now in Texas, they got spicy ketchup from Whataburger. In Florida, we put ketchup on everything. In Chicago, they put mustard on their hot dogs. In New Mexico, this green chili can go on everything and anything. A burrito, a hot dog.
Even on the red chili.
A
You can do
hamburger.
shit on the red
If you're a person that's trying to spice up your relationship, just go into that room, turn her around, and pour green chili down her spine, I promise you, it will set the party off right.
So I'm going to leave that right there, right? But you get the gist of it, right? When somebody, you know, comes to our market, right, and they're not from the area, but they get this excited about it. Why can't we get this excited about where we live, right?
I agree.
Yeah. Well, and you know, that's what I was hoping for in this political movement that I made. I said, well, look, I got to, because there's nobody from my generation doing that type of stuff. And everybody moves away, like I said, and how do we get that excitement back? And that's a big question. And getting these businesses, these big businesses, I think like Topgolf, and really maybe, you know, what is it? Do families want to see more parks? Do they want to see more, you know, they want to see, obviously we want to see higher education. We want to be ranked higher in education. That's a big thing. What do you think it is?
Well, you know, it's a number of different things, but really I think that if we begin to, you know, on the simplest level, we begin to talk good about where we live.
The psychology behind it's important.
The psychology behind it, right? If when we talk good, when we get rid of the negative thoughts and the negative mindset towards the city that we live in, and everybody begins to speak positively about the good things here, right? And even those bad things, right? Yes, those are challenges. We do not turn a blind eye to those at all. We don't turn the other cheek. We recognize and realize that they are there, but those are not the things that we focus on, right? I'm gonna share with you guys an idea, right? Somebody shared this with me yesterday. Carlos from New York Life. I had a chance to visit with him yesterday, And he says, everybody's focus is not on the right things. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, let me ask you a question. I said, okay, what's that? We'll do this, right? Joe, what was the last vehicle you bought?
Toyota Prius. No, I'm joking. I really do want one of those, though. No, it was actually the opposite. Ford F-250 Platinum. Yeah. So.
Okay, Ford F-250 Platinum, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now before you bought that Ford F-250 Platinum, how many of those bad boys did you see rolling around the streets of Albuquerque?
You're right. I already know where you're going with this. And I saw
How many?
Probably.
None.
Well, maybe a couple,
Maybe a couple.
Now they're
right?
everywhere.
You bought it. You were excited, right? You were proud, right? This was your baby, right? I'm sure probably a cool 40, 50 grand, right?
More
Something
than
like that.
Yeah,
70
sure.
grand.
Well, it's because I have to pull my trailer. I have a travel trailer.
Well,
It's a necessity.
That's besides the point.
Yeah.
But the moment that you drove that truck off the lot, how many did you see?
Oh, they're everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Because you were now focused
Mm-hmm.
on something different.
Then
right?
I got upset. Like, why is everybody else buying
Why
this
is
truck?
everybody
Right?
else has it?
I do the
But-
same thing. I'm like, don't you can't have my car?
This is my truck, dude.
And I can't think of the words that he used to tell me what the title of that.
It's
that,
infectious, man. That positivity is infectious.
But if we take the same thing, right? If we take that same concept, right, and say, okay, you know what? Instead of focusing on all the bad things that are happening here, why don't we focus on the good things? Why don't we focus on what is going right? The good things that are happening in Albuquerque.
Yeah, that would be a good time to ask whoever your listeners are. What about so we challenge somebody maybe to come up with an idea like that, so we can collaborate on something like that. Can you imagine that movement coming out of your show?
Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what. Here's what we'll do. Right. For those of you guys that are watching, that are tuning in, right, you can either go to Instagram or you can go to Facebook. Look up Go-ABQ. One of our last posts.
Giving me the chills.
Yes, one of our last posts is this, right? It is a picture of Central Avenue going east, right? You'll see the Bank of the West building. I'm not even sure if that's what it's called anymore. That's just the picture that I found, right? And it says, you will never know your limits unless you push yourself to them, right? And the content that I shared with there is, we believe that Albuquerque is on the cusp of being one of the greatest cities in America. We just need to keep pushing for it. The question, how will you push for greatness in our city? So here's what I'd like for you to do. Here's my call to action for you guys today. If you guys are listening, I want you guys to go on Instagram or on Facebook, and I want you guys to drop a comment on the one thing that you'll do, even if it's something as simple as, I'm going to start talking positively about Albuquerque.
Yep.
Yeah,
How about that?
that's great. That's
Can we do
beautiful.
that?
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Have you heard of? There's a couple girls that have a movement called Stop Bagging, Start Bragging.
Yes,
No, I haven't heard about
absolutely.
that.
It's awesome. That's the idea, is that start talking positively about Albuquerque. I heard them speak a couple months ago. It's awesome.
What platform is that on?
They have a Facebook page for sure, and they're very grassroots. I can't remember what started them. We'll have to get them on on your new show.
Yes, we will get them on the new show.
Yes.
On the Go-ABQ show, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna quote it incorrectly, but if you look them up, they're on there.
Yeah,
So
that's amazing stuff.
yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
It
that's
is
really
good
what we
stuff.
need. I mean, like you said, we're on the verge. We're on the tipping point of that, and it's gonna take this generation, that are in their 20s and in their 30s, to start teaching their young kids and talking positive about
Right.
Albuquerque from their young age, and that's when that generational progression and generational movements, I think, are important.
Right.
It is important. You're important.
And we
You are
also need to
important.
get the best athletes in the city to start moving to the Valley High School District, because we're going to need some state championships again, all right? So any other listeners out there with young children, move to the Valley District. We need some more
well,
rings.
hey, I'm just saying. I believe it's the West Side area schools that are.
Oh, dude. Well, we got the state championship next weekend. Rio Rancho is going at it, right?
Right.
Good.
Right, Volcano and
Rio
or was it
Rancho.
Volcano? I
Yeah.
may be wrong.
No, you're right.
Am
you're
I?
right. Volcano and Rio Rancho.
Or is it Cleveland, Rio Rancho, something like that?
Cleveland, maybe something. I don't know.
One of those three, dude.
Who knows?
But either way, that's amazing. That's good stuff. Those schools are. Have you seen those things?
That's exactly
colleges.
that's what I'm talking about. We need to be better at appreciating the talent that we have and showcasing that talent, right?
Yeah.
And it's across the board, right? I'm talking about business owners that are doing amazing things. Restaurants that are doing amazing things in the community that we never get to hear about,
Right.
because we only hear about something bad that happened,
Right.
And so with that, we want to make sure that we.
Well, I'm new to the Facebook world, like I was telling you guys.
Yeah.
It's a black hole. I was just telling him before the show, I'm like, I get on Facebook and I'm like sitting somewhere and then my legs are all numb and I try to get up and walk around like a baby giraffe. But is there, it'd be cool to have a positive Albuquerque news page like that on Facebook, like all just straight up positive stuff that goes on.
I'm sure that there is one
there?
somewheres. I'm sure that somebody has.
I don't know.
Has made an
find it.
attempt, and if we haven't, if there isn't one that's out there, then we will create one. In fact, we'll create one. Right now as it stands, we don't have a Go-ABQ group, but we can certainly create one, and that can be the place where people share all things positive Albuquerque.
That would be great.
Bottom
I like
line.
it.
Boom.
There we go. Well, call it done.
Done and done.
Consider it done.
Done. I like
Check.
that. Movements. We're making movements.
Well, that's one of the things, right? So we talk about small business owners. We talk about entrepreneurs. I think that's probably one of the greatest assets that an entrepreneur can have is take action.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Take action. Right?
Yeah.
You have an
It's not
idea.
gonna do itself.
Take action on it. Right.
Well, one cool thing we're starting up in December, actually, it's been a little while that I've had to get to this point, but we're going to offer some free classes to once a month to people who can't really afford those types of classes, because what we do in my business, the CPR first aid training, a lot of people need for their jobs. They
Right.
need for their licensure,
Yep.
to keep their medical licenses or to keep
Right.
their massage therapy licenses, or even if they're working in schools, I think every teacher should have that training, especially now with all this active shooter stuff we have going on.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're gonna do once a month, do free training, maybe training in the park
Very
and things
cool.
like that. Yeah, for the community members.
We're going to showcase you. You're going to be one of our very first members for Go-ABQ on the business side. For the membership platform. We're gonna showcase you
Thanks,
and everything that
Lisa.
you do. But I agree with you. This is something that is vital to growing our city, right? And the more folks that we have out there that are trained professionals on how to save a life, the better off we're
Yeah.
going to be.
Yeah, and it adds to that that sense of security in
It does.
our lives in our city too.
It does. It does. So for those people who are not familiar, right, and this is across the board, doesn't matter what industry you're in. I think this is something that everybody should have working knowledge of, and that's how to perform CPR. Now, I'm going to be the first. I'm raising my hand. America, you see me right here. Raising my hand. I do not know CPR.
Uh-oh. I know someone to help you with that.
Yes.
So for a guy like me that wants to participate, how do I go about doing that?
I just visit our website. It's www.CareTacticsCPR.com. And on there, it's pretty easy to navigate. We're actually rolling out a new website this week, which will be really cool. It'll be even more easy to navigate, but you just go to our class calendar tab. We offer classes 6 days a week, some in the morning, some in the evenings. We even offer one-on-one courses if one of our courses doesn't work with your personal schedule. Then you just add the class to the card. It's a really simple process. So
Nice.
yeah,
I like that. And how often do you have classes?
6 days a week. So
Holy smokes.
yeah. Well,
No excuses.
no excuses. We
No.
just take Sunday off.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that? 6
Go
days
to
a
church.
week.
We go to church with you.
There you go.
Yeah.
We go to church with you, Holy Lou.
Hallelujah.
Tell me how that goes.
So yeah, we're not going to have a coach. Hey, Big Louie.
Hey, Big Lou.
It's going to be different now. We're going to go to
Right.
church with you.
like
Should it be Preacher Man Lou?
Yeah, I like it.
I
Yes.
could
Preacher
be
man.
like a preacher man on a Sunday morning and
Preacher man.
go down to the enemy's camp and take back everything that big-headed sucker took from us. Can I get an amen?
Oh, amen, brother. Big old amen.
We kid. So just so you know, we are real human beings. Yeah.
In the flesh.
We have a sense of humor, and we hope that you have one as well, right?
Where's your new show going to be? Are we going to still be here? Or
Yes,
change the name?
the show's going to remain here. We're going to still broadcast right out of here. And really the format is simply this, right? Because this is a membership platform, we want to encourage the business community to become a member so that we can help you market, brand, and promote your business. This is going to be one of the tools that we use to do that, right? We're also going to feature community content, right? So I was, speaking with Sergeant Middleton from the Southwest Area Command yesterday, right? And Southwest Area Command is building a community lowrider
No way.
What?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah.
patrol car, right?
Patrol car. Yeah.
Nice.
And so they're really engaging the community, right? They
Right.
are encouraging youth artists to submit. And in fact, on December 10th, they're going to announce the winner of their contest. So they've had high school students
Fun.
submit their murals, and they're going to select one of those murals to be on the vehicle.
Now that's some active community policing. That's
That
great.
is that. No,
Awesome.
I got to tell you. So they have a program called PRT, and it's not talked about in the news, but these guys are making a serious impact in on the West Central corridor, right? Because of their presence and because of the way that they engage with the community, right? So, but anyhow,
That's what I'm talking about. Generational healing, dude. That's
these
gonna
are
be
the
amazing.
things that we want to feature. These are the things that we
Yes.
want to have on the show that talk about what is happening positively in our community, right? And how do we get out there? How do we support? How do we really foster economic growth and development in our city? Well, it's by supporting each other as a community and supporting the businesses in our community, right?
Yeah.
And so,
And there's so much to be learned out there about business. You know what I mean?
yes.
I mean, all aspects of it. It's just so interesting.
Oh, I felt that fire in my belly once again. I'm excited.
You baby, good.
I'm so excited, but I'm excited that you joined us today. I'm excited that you're going to be part of our process, that you're going to be right alongside of us, that you are going to be championing your business to make Albuquerque a better place, the best place to be, by way of giving people access to a very critical tool that they need.
Yeah, and that's just a small piece. You know what
Yes.
I mean? And we could all do it together. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many people out there that have such great ideas and such great energy, and all it just takes is a little
Yes.
bit of collaboration and a little bit of activism. You know, even if it's just small, just a couple
Right.
minutes a day. You know,
Well, I just have to tell you one
What?
thing, right? When I met my wife, the first thing that came out of her mouth was,
I love you. I think I love you.
I think I'm choking. Can you give me mouth to mouth?
No, no.
Oh my gosh.
Not the
So
case.
smooth.
All right. Well, Joe, thank you for being here. We certainly do appreciate. You're welcome to hang out with us.
I'm gonna listen to
Hang out with
the
us.
veterano, my favorite guy over here.
We've got our state auditor, Mr. Brian Colón, and I can tell, well, just by the tie that he's wearing today, I can tell by the tie, right? The only reason I can tell by the tie is because, well,
He's got that beautiful double Windsor going on there.
he's got Whew. He's got a lot on his mind that he's got to share.
We did not dress up enough.
Yes, we did not
No.
dress up enough. That's okay, Joe.
But again,
thank
yeah,
you.
I appreciate you guys again, and great mission, beautiful mission, and you're the bomb.
Good hanging
I'll
out.
see you guys later.
All right, Miss Kelsey.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So we're going to jump back in. We're going to give Brian a chance to get seated and get his headphones on and all that good stuff. So let's talk really quickly, right? So you are a serial entrepreneur. You've had several
Yes.
restaurants here in the Albuquerque area. Your last endeavor was Savory Fare, and let's talk about that
Yes.
because I want people to know that there are both good and bad days in business as an entrepreneur.
100%.
Right.
100%.
We need to know how to live in that.
Oof. It's been a good learning experience. I've had, I tell people right now that I had to walk away from a business. It's kind of funny because they all immediately, it's like somebody died in my family, but that's part of the learning experience, right?
Right.
I've actually walked away from 3 businesses. This is the 3rd.
Oh.
So
Sweet.
it's not really a big deal. I mean, it stinks and it's hard work, but it's just a part of the learning process. I like and I don't know the right stats, but Michael Jordan, how many failures did he have before he was successful? There's so many people out there like that I learned a lot. So I bought the restaurant in May, and it's already closed now. It was open for about 5 months after I bought it. And, sometimes as an entrepreneur, you just got to know when to cut your losses. And it just was turning into a money pit. It was older, and it needed a lot of work, and I just didn't have the money to pour into it. And now I'm free for my next endeavor.
There you go.
So, you got to put your ego to the side and know when to call it quits. So.
There's a song, right? I'm not sure exactly who sings it. It's a white-haired man. He's got a white beard on his face, right? Goes something along the lines of "No one to hold him, no one to fold him," right?
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's so true. It's it's just a part of life. And that can go to relationships. It can go to anything.
To anything, right? Absolutely to anything. And that is one of the important things to know, one of the important lessons to learn in life. And the hopes are is that you learn that lesson early on,
Yeah.
so that you don't, continue down a path that is not fruitful for you, right?
Exactly.
And so when we talk about, success, part of that success is also knowing when it's time to
Yeah,
walk away.
absolutely.
Right. Now, let's just play it out for a little bit. Let's say that you let your ego get the best of you,
Right.
and not heeded to the red flags and the things in business that were prompting you to say, hey, okay, I need to.
Right.
Where would you be right now?
I would be across the street stressed out.
Stressed out.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I've got kids, so I've got to think about what am I doing for them? What am I doing for their future? Right. Also, my big thing is what kind of example am I setting for them?
Right.
Am I indecisive and wishy-washy and I don't know how to handle my own life? Or am I strong and I know the right decisions to make when they need to be made?
That's a very, very important thing to know, right? And I'll tell you what, as Burqueños, as Chicanos, Nuevo Mexicanos, whatever you want to call us, we have this kind of chip on our shoulders of, hey, I'm going to show them.
Yep, absolutely.
And that is probably the worst thing ever, right? And the guy that does, coming on next, he can probably tell you, he's probably the most humble person I know in life that encourages, the best in everybody that he comes into contact with, right? But sometimes as Nuevo Mexicanos, as Chicanos, right? Even as entrepreneurs, especially as entrepreneurs and small business owners, we don't want to take any advice from anybody else, and we want to hold on to what our thoughts are and what we're living in and all that good stuff, and we don't know when to hold them. We don't know when to fold them, right? And what's the other thing, right? Never count your money at the table.
Yes. Exactly.
That's the other thing there. So, kids, talking about counting money at the table.
I like it. Good job.
You like my transitions, don't you?
It's the best.
Well, I'll tell you what. Very fortunate to call this man a friend, right? And he's done amazing things in the short time that I've known him. There are plenty of you here in our great state of New Mexico that have known him, and for good reason. For the last 20 years, he said, I'm going to put myself aside, and I'm going to put my community first, right? It's exactly what he's done. And it said so in the accolades, right? I can read them to you. I can read them to you, right? Dating all the way back to, let's see, 2003, maybe 2001. 2001. And I could be mistaken here. 2001. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the show New Mexico State Auditor, Mr. Brian Colón.
It's great to be right here in the studio with you, Luis Hernandez Jr.
How about this young lady right here? I understand that you know her fairly well.
We've got some history.
We do.
Yes.
We do.
All very positive. All very positive.
Here's a challenge for you guys out there watching, right? If you do not have history with Brian, raise your hand. Raise your hand. What I mean by that is drop a comment, say, I don't have history with Brian. And
we'll
guess
fix
what?
it.
We will fix that.
That's
Brian
right.
will fix that, right?
That's right.
Brian, thank you for being here.
It is great to be back in studio with you, Luis, and always good to see you. I appreciate what you do.
Always good to see you. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
The smile that brightens up the room.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful day in Albuquerque, folks, and it's great to be right here with this dynamic duo. Got to get my picture action going here.
We'll
all right. Looking good.
So all kinds of fun things. When I talk about those accolades, right, I talk about you dating all the way back to 2001, the Hispanic Bar Association. You are an attorney by trade.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got 18 years under my belt. It's been a great journey, but I got to tell you, the best part of my journey has been the last 330 days of awesome in the Office of the State Auditor.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you've done amazing work. Now, for folks that are not familiar, really quickly, can you tell people out there watching what exactly does the Office of the State Auditor do for the constituents in New Mexico?
Well, we protect New Mexico's families, Luis. We every day are making sure that when the tax dollars are allocated, when government resources are utilized, they're utilized appropriately. We make sure there's no waste, fraud, or abuse in New Mexico. And when there is, we hold folks accountable. That's what I get to do every single day. And really, I think of my charge as being the one office in New Mexico that has the opportunity to restore people's faith and trust in government. And I couldn't think of a better opportunity than that. And it's just always great to be able to be out in the communities of New Mexico. I've done outreach in about 17 counties in the last 330 days, and we'll get to the rest of the counties in short order. My goal was to make sure that we did all 33 counties.
Yes.
We took the office of the state auditor on the roads of New Mexico, and we've traveled thousands of miles to make sure that we provided access to our office. And that access meant education, because we do our best work when the public engages with our office.
Well, I have to agree with that. When folks are educated and they know about the process and they know how things get done and how to get things done,
That's right.
they're empowered.
Look,
right?
what we know in our office is that when you are fighting waste, fraud, and abuse, your work is best done when you engage others.
Yeah.
We oversee anywhere between 800 and 1,000 audits a year or agreed
Holy
upon
smokes.
procedures. It's amazing. With a
Wow.
staff of less than 40 people, but we work with a lot of independent public accountants all over the state. We've got about
Okay.
80 folks that we oversee as independent public accountants, and the staff we have in our office. But what we know worldwide, not just in New Mexico, not just in the United States, but worldwide, we know that the majority, and we're talking upwards of 80% of all waste, fraud, and abuse is identified through tipsters, fraud hotlines, and whistleblowers. So that means if I'm engaging the public, I'm engaging that activity, and that's where we identify the waste, fraud, and abuse.
Wow.
That's pretty
Fascinating.
interesting.
Amazing, right?
That-
We
yeah.
spend millions of dollars on audits, which helps us protect New Mexico taxpayers and families by making sure that we have internal controls and processes followed. But really, where the waste, fraud, and abuse is identified is when the public engages with our office using my fraud hotline, calling me up confidentially, or engaging with our staff to make sure that if you've got that feeling in your stomach, Luis, that something doesn't feel right in
Right.
government, there's a transaction that just doesn't seem right, instead of going, pues, it's New Mexico, I want you to call the Pecoso in Santa Fe, Brian Colón, the state auditor, and we'll look into it for you.
Call them up. So really quickly, since we're talking about that, what is that number for folks? And I'm going to make sure that I post it.
You betcha. Look, we want them to reach out to our office of the state auditor in Santa Fe. That's 505-476-3800. That's 505-476-3800. They can ask to speak with the Special Investigation Division. We've got a great director there, Sean Beck. He does a phenomenal job. They can also go to OSA on the website. We've got an opportunity for them to submit their concerns or complaints confidentially. They can use that as a platform to engage, but they're always welcome to call our office anytime. We have a constituent services director. If you got a problem in government, if the drain is clogged, I want you to call our office. We'll put you in the hands of somebody who can fix it.
I like that. That's the mindset of let's take care of everybody.
That's exactly right, Luis. I don't. People say, well, what exactly do you do? I tell them what our mission is, but I say, look, at the end of the day, if you've got an issue in government, if government's not working for you, I want to be in charge of constituent services. You call our office, we'll put you in the hands of someone that can take care of you.
That's important, and I got to tell you, there are not a lot of agencies, and I'm not going to lean the focus on the state. I'm just going to call them agencies.
Sure.
that have moved so far away from that idea of taking care of the people, right? It's sad, but
let me give you the
but not at your office.
Well, not at our office, but I also want to give you one more thought, and that
Sure.
is something I carry all over the state when I'm talking to folks in the public, and I really have come to learn this in the last 330 days in a really intimate way. There are thousands of civil servants, thousands of state agency, local municipality, government employees every day that work diligently to serve New Mexicans. And frankly, they never get handed a microphone followed by applause like I do.
right.
But they do their job every day. And in the old days, in your parents' days and my parents' days, we used to celebrate civil service. We used to celebrate people like the young man that you had in this seat right before, who had done government service, served in the military with distinction, had engaged as a civil servant. We used to celebrate those folks. You'd say, oh, my grandfather was a G13 or 18 or 21.
Right.
But today, the tone at the top is not that way. We beat up on civil servants, and we don't value them the way we should. And so for me, I just got to tell you, I'm on the ground of New Mexico in every corner of the state. And we've got phenomenal civil servants doing the hard work of the people, and they go home at night, and the next morning they do it again. And I just want to say thanks to them, and I want us to all thank our civil servants.
I love that. See, there you go. He took my negative, turned it into a positive,
Yep,
right?
exactly.
That's what Brian Colón does. But you're absolutely right.
It's a great week to be grateful, right?
A very valid point. Yes, a great week to be grateful. My wife just participated in a process, and she walked out of that process, as a juror, with a deep appreciation for how our community is served.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Very, very deep appreciation for that. And so, again, that is another one of those things that is often overlooked, never really talked about. Another one of those great things, right? See, now you bring something to the table. We've been talking with Joseph about the Go-ABQ platform, how we serve to connect the community, bring the businesses, the community from a grassroots level, create this platform where everybody is interacting and engaging.
Well, that's the beautiful thing. The two of you set the table, and I'm just glad to be here.
Well, now you give us another form of content to showcase and share, and that is all the great people that serve our great state. Right?
That's right. That's right.
So what if we do this, right? What if we call it the Brian Colón Award?
Oh, see.
Ooh.
You know what? I will tell you, it is ironically or really kind of comically, but one of the deepest honors I have is I served as the graduate student body president at UNM, and one of my successors actually created an award at the university called the Brian S. Colón Exemplary Service Award, and it is about serving the community. And so for me, when they put me to rest, I hope that's one of the things they remember is that I tried to live a life of service and gratitude, and to have that award at UNM means a lot to me personally. Well,
and that's exactly where I come from with that as well, is that you lead by example. Right. If we want to look at somebody that serves, with a grateful heart and a smile on his face nonstop
every day,
that's Brian, right?
Every day.
I had an opportunity to walk a parade with Brian.
Fun.
I had an opportunity.
That was a good one.
Here, my job that day was as cameraman. That was my job. I think I got a blister on my thumb for taking pictures of every person that Brian stopped to shake hands and talk to. We started the parade at the front of the line. We ended the parade half hour at the end, or the parade ended, we were still half hour behind,
right,
because Brian made it a point to stop and talk to and shake hands with everybody. And that right there, who does that, right? The community members of Las Vegas, and that whole northern region there are so very appreciative of the work that you do, right? More importantly, they're so appreciative of the friendship that they have with you, right?
Well, look, you get these opportunities in life. Some are harder to receive than others, and I just got to say that you get elected statewide, and it takes about 500,000 votes, which is what we got, and you rarely get the opportunity to look somebody in the eye and say thank you for your vote, because you don't know who those 500,000 people are. So you just have to be grateful generally. But when you do parades and things like that, as you know, Luis, people are looking you in the eye and they're saying, I voted for you and I'm proud of you and thank you for the work you're doing. And I get an incredible chance to look them back in the eye and say, I'm grateful for your vote, and my job is to make you proud and to restore your faith in government. What a huge honor that is.
Huge. And I witnessed it firsthand. It's probably the most beautiful thing that I've seen in my life.
Other than your hita every day.
Well, of course,
That's a given.
Preciosa.
Yes, absolutely. We're grateful for those things. So let's talk about some of the things that you've accomplished in your time as the state auditor.
Sure.
I have to ask, because America wants to know, what is the most bizarre thing that you've been able to uncover?
Well, there are lots of interesting cases. We get any given year, we'll probably have about 500 interactions with our fraud hotline and things of that nature. So we've got a substantial number of cases that we're working now. It's hard to talk about what's bizarre, because you just, these cases always exceed your expectations.
Oh, very true.
I would tell you most recently a $200,000 settlement on a 2-paragraph letter. That's pretty bizarre.
That is very bizarre.
And I got to say that I'm grateful to the team. I'm grateful to folks that did high quality audits on that work at the General Services Division. I'm grateful to this administration for before we even released the report and the audit, they had already adopted and engaged many of the procedures that we said were necessary to protect New Mexico's taxpayers. So we are increasing the quality of government. We're increasing the way taxpayers are protected and their resources are utilized. But it was very disheartening to see some of those settlements that were made in the final days of the prior administration. And I actually had a gratitude luncheon yesterday for the staff, and I told them, I said, look, you did exactly what I said you had to do. And my directive was this: look, as former chair of the Democratic Party of New Mexico, I have to work very hard to make sure that we stay in the lanes of being nonpartisan.
Right.
We've got a job to do, and it's not political. I always tell folks waste, fraud, and abuse doesn't have a party affiliation. I've got a former state senator who's a convicted felon, Democrat. I got a former Secretary of State, convicted felon, Republican. It doesn't matter. The party affiliation is not the issue here. So when we're looking at what could be perceived as highly political activity,
Right.
We have to be careful. And it's just the facts. And when we rolled it out, when you have a former respected congressman who's the head of the Republican Party of New Mexico come out and say, instead of saying, look, Brian's a political hack, of course he said this in his report, he didn't say that.
Right.
Right? But as a chair of a party, you kind of expect that. And that's kind of the role of the chair of the party, is to
Right.
pop the other team in the mouth. But instead, he came out with a high-quality quote, and he said, everybody's got to be held accountable. And for my team, what I told them yesterday was, there's not a higher compliment than that in itself. Because he knew the work they'd done was not political.
Right.
That it was just the facts.
Just the facts.
And so people know we're watching. People, and again, that came off of what we talked about: investigative reporting, tipsters, fraud hotline engagers, whistleblowers.
Right.
That's where that work came from. It wasn't an audit. It was frankly investigative reporting that keyed us in on that issue. We did our independent audit, and we got the results we got. And now taxpayers are more appropriately protected.
Absolutely, and informed as well.
That's right.
A lot of times they don't hear about these types of things. Sometimes the news media, does a fantastic job of just skirting the outside of that and not really communicating those things that might be important for Nuevo Mexicanos to know.
That's right.
And understand. And so I do thank you for that. Interesting. I saw the report. I saw the live feed, live stream of the press conference, and I watched it unfold, and I'm like, wow, my Lord, how does this happen? And how does in the process, how does it get this far that nobody says, hey, wait a minute, stop, what happens? This isn't the right thing. What's going on here? And so we're very thankful that those tipsters, those reports, those reporters are sharing the information so that you can do your proper and thorough.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And it's great because we get to educate folks every step of the way.
Right.
And when you engage people, you have good government. And
Right.
in this case, there was a failure in checks and balances, protocols, investigations,
Right.
proper procedure, and now as we sit here in studio, we have those in place.
Right.
And so for me, that's progress. It's a good touchstone for us to always look back on and say, this is why we do the work we do. I'm not celebrated when I walk in the front door of any agency. Always really happy to see me in government. But to know that we have just in a small way restored some people's faith in government, that's a big deal. Whether it's up in Las Vegas when we're having to hold elected officials accountable to do their job, in a highly democratic San Miguel County,
Yes.
or whether it's this situation where we have the former Republican administration, we're going to try and do the right thing always. And or as Yoda would say, it's do or don't. There is no try, and we do the right thing.
I like the reference to Yoda there.
Yeah.
Are
you like that?
It's topical.
Are you a Yoda fan?
Yeah. I haven't seen the new Star Wars everybody's all about.
Have you seen it?
I have not.
What is it?
I see all the pictures of the little baby Yoda.
Yeah, the little baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Was that?
Yeah.
What does the little baby Yoda say?
I don't know yet.
He doesn't
I haven't
talk
seen
yet.
the movie.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I apologize. Baby Yoda doesn't even talk yet, so
Okay.
let's not even get there. But
Just does the big eyeballs, I think.
I just
Oh,
know that before I lost that weight, I used to think, man, I look like Jabba the Hutt, man, with my big
Oh.
old chin coming up. That's my only Star Wars references.
well, we talk about transformations, right? And I think that a lot of folks have made that transformation. It's one of the great transformations when you're an entrepreneur or business owner, right? There are things that you got to take care of, and your health is one of them, right? It is instrumental in the success of your business, right? Because if you are unhealthy, if you don't have your health in check, well, guess what? Everything else falls to the wayside in your business, right? The things that you should be doing because you're healthy are not getting done because you're unhealthy, right? And so, that's one of those stories. Tell us your story.
Oh.
It's great for entrepreneurs to know, and maybe something that most folks that maybe they don't know about you.
Sure. Well, I don't know how interesting that is, but I will just tell you briefly. I was pushing 276 pounds, and I realized that I was headed towards 300, and I had a choice. I could either go for 300 or turn the other way, and I just decided to turn the other way, and went with a high protein diet, and over the course of several years, lost about 75 pounds. And they said, oh man, you'll have more energy and your back won't hurt and your knees won't hurt. Well, Luis, my back never hurt, my knees never hurt, and I always had plenty of energy. So none of that really changed for me. I'm still the same energetic guy that I've always been. But I will tell you this, it's always nice when somebody walks up and said, dude, you lost like a third grader. Where'd all that weight go? And that's always nice for my own personal self-esteem and knowing that people notice. And it's just been a real pleasure. And, I've got a 22-year-old son. On May 15th, he'll graduate from George Washington as a biomedical engineer.
Wow.
And I want to be around to know his children. And I figured maybe that's one little piece that I can do to make sure I'm not heavy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thanks. And I weighed more than this in high school. I mean, I've always been husky, as my mom said,
Yes.
heavy set, as my grandma would say, and fat, as most of the kids on the playground would say. So
Oh.
I just got to tell you, it's good to be at around 200 pounds now.
Well, we appreciate the 200-pound Brian Colón. I aspire to get to 200 pounds. I'm working at it.
You can do it.
I'm
You're
there.
looking good. You're looking good, man.
I got my protein right behind you there.
I lost
Your milk
weight
prep's
and I
good,
lost
yeah.
my hair. So you got to take the good with the bad. You got to take the good with the bad.
We did an event the other day. There was a photographer, and he happened to be behind me. I turned around and said, hey, do me a favor. He said, what's that? I said, don't get my bald spot.
That's right.
yeah.
That's right. They take pictures of me leaning down talking to the children because that's just the best part. And they always get that bald spot right on the top. And I'm like, hey man, cover that up. Where's that spray can?
The spray can. Absolutely. Well, there's no covering up when it comes to the New Mexico State Auditor. In fact, let's talk about transparency and really, if you were to grade transparency in government right now, what grade would you give it?
That's a tough question because there's all different. There's so many aspects of transparency in government. For a while we were leading the pack when it came to access to information as it relates to our legislative process online. We were ahead of our time 10 years ago when it came to access online for legislative information. Yep, we weren't streaming our hearings. We didn't have that kind of stuff, but we did have information to bills, a bill tracker, a locator, all those kinds of things, which was awesome. We've come a long way since then. I'm not sure that we've kept up. I know that as it relates to these recent settlements that we did the audits on, we know that there was abuse and confidentiality clauses, and that's a clear lack of transparency, right? So we look forward to working with leaders like Senator Ivy Soto, Senator Rue, and so many other good government advocates to actually adopt legislation that increases the amount of transparency we have in New Mexico as it relates to government transactions. Look, at the end of the day, those checks that are written, they're your checks, they're my checks.
Right.
And we have a right to know where that money's going and why it's gone there. And so we're going to continue pushing that boulder up the hill every day to make sure that we bring as much sunshine to government as possible. I enjoyed being at Common Cause's luncheon last week. Been a big fan of the Foundation of Open Government. I work as closely as I possibly can with those organizations to be their advocate and to sing their song because it's important.
It is important. It's important. Again, going right back to being informed and being part of the process of what's going on. We were talking with Joseph earlier. District 2, 43,000 constituents, registered voters, 10,000 show up to the polls.
See, and this is where I can make a difference, because in New Mexico, as we engage voters, when we go out there and we educate them, when I'm on the ground in 33 counties, as opposed to expecting people to come to Santa Fe to see me,
Right.
They get that passion for engagement. They
Right.
increase the faith in government that if they do engage, it matters. And that engagement comes all the way down to hitting the ballot box.
Right.
And so for me, I feel like I even get to impact that. Like, people wonder how, I sleep in 6 days a week. I sleep till 5 a.m. On Thursdays, I got to get up at 4 a.m. To start the coffee for my men's group that starts at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And so, every day at 5 a.m., I have an opportunity to increase people's faith in government. And if we do that correctly, we will increase voter participation at the polls. And how rewarding is that?
Very, but also very needed.
Absolutely.
Very needed, right? We talk about that, just right here in our city of Albuquerque, right? And that, I can't believe that.
No.
I can't believe that. But the work that you're doing in terms of getting out there, that's spurring that activity. Where can we find more people like you to do that right here?
Well, I think it's happening. Look, we have, I think, had more diverse engagement in the political process in the last few years than I've ever seen. And that diversity comes in the form of gender diversity,
Right.
age diversity, economic background diversity, education diversity. I mean, I think it's fantastic. I think people are getting inspired by people that are engaging them in community, like the work you two are doing here, or whether it's the work I'm doing in government. It all matters. Like,
Right.
people are getting turned on and fired up, and they're ready to go. And for me, it's been fun to watch.
I like that. So you flipped on the switch, the on switch,
That's right. I mean, we're kicking it up a notch.
kicking it up a notch.
Yes, sir.
Well, and that's why I like Kelsey. Her perspective, right? Because she has not been here for 45 years like I have, right?
Right.
To see the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? She's fairly new here,
2 years.
and it's always good to get her perspective on New Mexico. And we went to the comedian. We were playing his post here a little while
Oh,
ago.
he's terrific.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yes, I saw that because you posted it.
I did post it.
You posted.
Funny.
You were one of the first people to post that.
It's kind of gone viral
Yeah,
now.
it
Yeah.
definitely has.
You were one of the first. It was you, and who else was it that posted it?
Ada?
Hakeem is where I think I pulled it. Hakeem Bellamy, I think, posted it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
either Hakeem or, you know what? Let me correct myself. It was actually Chad Cooper, the head of the African American Business Association.
Chad, because you even thanked Chad.
I did.
for
not the Business Association. It's the Black Chamber of Commerce, I think, is what it's called.
Is that?
But Chad Cooper posted, and I gave him credit on my
Yeah.
post because I saw it because of him, and I thought
Yeah.
it was just terrific. I mean, there are a million reasons why I love New Mexico.
Absolutely.
But his presentation, his passion, his capacity to deliver the message was just, it was just really engaging.
It's
Yeah.
contagious.
Yeah.
It is contagious. Kelsey, ask me a question about the New Mexico Office of the State Auditor.
Oh my gosh.
There you go. You're on the spot. You got to have something.
Tell me your favorite day.
Oh, man, my favorite day. I got a lot of favorite days. I talk about it. It's been 330 days of
Right.
awesome, and I keep track because I'm so grateful for every one of them.
Right?
But I'll give you a couple highlights. Is that all right?
Yeah, of course.
So I've done it twice now, and this is kind of corny, but as state auditor, I'm given the privilege and honor of administering the oath for every new CPA in New Mexico.
Very cool.
And so administering that oath for certified public accountants was inspiring, and the gravity of that is not lost on me.
I
Having
didn't know
taken
they
the
did
oath
an
as a lawyer
Uh-huh.
18 years ago, I mean, I understand what a moment in time that is for you. I can
Right.
tell you who stood next to me
Right.
when I took my oath. I can tell you who was in the room. I could tell you
Right.
who keynoted that.
That's
and
cool.
I get to keynote the event and
Right.
then administer the oath. And
Be a
for
part
me,
of their history.
I mean,
That's
that
cool.
doesn't get much cooler than that. And then I'll tell you one more great day, and I have a ton, but they're mostly personal to me, and I'm not sure the public would find them that interesting. But this one's a great one. So down in southern New Mexico, Luna County, a place where there's fast ducks and pure water, baby. Maybe not as pure as the water in this building,
No.
but fast ducks and pure water down there in Luna County. Deming School District asked me to come out and share my story and see if we can inspire some of these young people down there. And they brought together an assembly of 800 students, students, and I got to engage with those students for 45 minutes in an
Very
assembly,
cool.
and that was a pretty doggone great day.
Kids are cool.
Kids are cool.
They're very cool.
And then I also, and the listeners are always welcome to reach out to me. I love doing this, but we have a system that I started in my office where I name honorary state auditors for the day.
Okay.
And so parents and grandparents have brought up their little hijitos, and we take pictures with them under the seal of the state of New Mexico and the
fun.
flags, and we put them in my desk.
Right.
And we give them a great certificate with a gold seal on it,
Right.
and we make them honorary state auditor for the day. And these children just think it's just the greatest thing.
Right.
And I've got kids now that really, they've got their certificate hanging on their wall. I had one young man who went home. His father had brought him to do the whole thing, and we took pictures together. And all that. He went home, and his mom started to talk to him. She texted me this, and she said, "You're never going to believe this." I said, "What?" And she said, "Well, he came home, and I started asking about his day, and he said, 'No, Mom, I'm the honorary state auditor. You'll have to talk to my team if you would like an appointment with me.'"
Oh, I like it.
And it was just, it just makes your heart grow. I mean, you can't get any
very
better than
cool.
that. Now, the nuts and bolts and the technical side of what I do every day is beautiful. And I love the team members I work with. We've got a really strong team. And I love working with them every day. But those are just a couple of the highlights.
That's
that
so
have been
cool. I love
phenomenal.
it. Good.
Those are really cool highlights, right? And I, as that young person, I can't believe the impact that you're making in that young person's life, right? To show an interest in a
Right.
young person does amazing things for the trajectory of their life. Heck, even an older person.
Yeah.
When
No,
you
it matters. It matters.
It
I can
does.
tell you different points in my life that put me exactly where I am today. A couple of them being, a political rally that I got. One of my mom's friends took me to down in Berlin at the sheriff's posse, and there was amazing speakers, and they kind of lit me on fire. And I was about 12 years old, 13 years old, and I just thought, man, I want to be able to touch people the way I've just been touched, and inspire
Right.
people the way I've been inspired. And then I remember going and paging in the legislature, and I was the page for Representative Fred Luna from Valencia County.
Oh, wow.
And this is so far ago that I remember. I mean, this is really the only thing I remember doing, but he had me empty his ashtray from the floor of the legislature so that he could fill it up again, of course. And that's when you could smoke in the roundhouse,
Wow,
and legislators
right.
smoke on the floor of the house. But being that close to the process in government really touched me. And then
Right.
went to Boys State and Boys Nation. And, I'm like the Forrest Gump of New Mexico. I met every president of the United States for 36 years, from Ronald Reagan to President Obama. I met every single president. But those moments in time with New Mexico elected officials who inspired me, they set me on a path of service, and I'm grateful.
Very cool.
Who were some of those people that stick out?
Sure. I mean, Scott Scanlon, who was in his early 20s, I think was mentored by my mom. I know they were close friends, but I suspect she was mentoring him down at the flea market where he engaged with his constituents there in Bosque Farms. He was the youngest village councilors before it was incorporated, and he's the one that took me to that political rally down in Berlin. And Gil Sanchez, who was the judge and the baker down there, gave a speech, and his son gave a speech, and his son was the legendary Speaker of the House, Raymond Sanchez, who was a much younger man back then than either one of us are today, and he inspired me with his remarks. And Fred Luna taking an interest in me, Candy Cordova, who was the clerk down in Valencia County. There were just so many folks like that who really did take a personal interest to say hello or to engage with me, and it made a difference. Casey Luna, he and I had our differences. I was a little mocosito. He was lieutenant governor, and somehow I thought I could spar with that dude. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But we still laugh about it today. But, Jeff Bingaman, I did the Jeff Bingaman Leadership Institute back in 1987. And there's just so many people that just look me in the eye and encourage me. And so for me, I get to do that every day now. And like I always tell my son, Rafael, I say, look, Rafael, I've got a debt to our community and to this state that I'll never be able to repay fully. But doggone it, I'm going to die trying.
Well, why do you feel that you have a debt to our community?
Well, when I was a teenager, I buried my father, and From that moment on, I didn't have a single blood relative in the entire state of New Mexico. I was an island unto myself, and I had my father's dream that I'd be the first in my family to go to college and break the cycle of poverty. And as I sit here before you, I am able to say I live my father's dream, and today in service, I'm living my dream to be able to repay that debt, because the community filled the gap for me. It was people like Luis and people, organizations like the Rotary Club and the Elks Club and the Optimist Club and the Seroptimist Club and the all these community organizations that filled the gap and allowed me not to fall through. And one generation out from the blocks of cheese and the powdered milk in Section 8 housing and couch surfing as a student. One generation out, my son's a proud Albuquerque High Bulldog, and he's on a presidential scholarship at George Washington University. About to graduate, just one generation out from poverty.
Does that?
That's amazing.
I mean, so you wonder why I have a debt? I mean, that's my debt right there.
Well, and I think it's important for people to know and understand that, right? What you see today hasn't always been the case, right? It's a process. It's something that has happened over a course of time, right? And that time isn't 1 year. The time isn't 2 years. It's time, and it's important for people to know as business owners and entrepreneurs that great things, they do take time. Yes, we live in a day and age where we can get things almost instantly, but the true growth happens over time.
No, that's right. And I think you made a post or a comment about the diversity award I got from the New Mexico Business First or Albuquerque Business First, and the best thing about that award is that they highlighted my mentorship in the community for young people. And for me, I'm passionate about mentorship programs. I've engaged more people with the Big Brothers Big Sisters Mentor 2.0 program than any other recruiter out there that's a volunteer. I've tried to mentor as many young people as I possibly can, because I know that that's the only thing that allowed me to be where I am today, is people taking an interest and allowing me to, I can sit in Anthony Apodaca's law office as a child, who's 17 years old, the student body president at Los Lunas High School, and walk into his office. I'd never been in a law office before. My parents, I mean, that's just not the deal. And so I walk into a law office and I see all this stuff, and I'm like, I want to do this someday. And Anthony took some time with me, and 20 years later, I was able to pour into his son a little bit. And that's a pretty awesome thing.
That is an awesome thing. And we actually have one of those fortunate folks right here with us, who has been on the receiving end of Brian Colón, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the things that I'll call them the great takeaways that you've had in your time in meeting with Brian?
It's funny. Brian and I met because I was in the process of applying to law school. I'm on this constant journey of what do I want to be when I grow up. So we started talking about law school, but then it turned into talking about life and my next steps. And I've actually taken a lot of different steps since I've seen you. But it was good. The mentoring, I think, is huge. And I am on board with that as far as that's the best way to improve a community, is to mentor the next generation. So it was always really huge. And you've always been very available. I've texted you, called you. Here's what I'm doing. What do you think? It's been an amazing, it's a good connection to have someone like that in the community.
Well, I give out my cell number very freely, and I always tell people, look, let me exceed your expectations on how quickly I respond. You reach out to me. I don't have the bandwidth to reach out to all the people I've met along the way and care about. There's just too many for me to be able to check in and say, Luis, how's it going? We haven't visited in a while. But what I tell people the very first time I meet with them, and I think I told you this too, Kel, I will exceed your expectations on how quickly I respond, but you got to ping me, whether it's by email, text message, voicemail. I take it all. Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, like LinkedIn messages. I had somebody on LinkedIn hit me up last night, and I responded within 3 minutes, and they're like, is this really Brian, or is somebody managing his stuff? And I said, no, it's me. And that's really my goal at the end of every day, to have exceeded people's expectations on how quickly I respond. And that's super important to me. And because I think that you can't say, and that my hashtag in your corner, and you see me post it all the time to all these young people that I believe in, I can't say I'm in your corner if I'm not responsive when you reach out.
Absolutely.
Because that's just BS, right? Like, I'm just saying something to feel good. I'm in your corner, Luis, but then when you need me, if I'm not responsive, then I've just played myself and I've played you, and I just never want to do that. And so I tell people when they say, well, I'm sorry I haven't called you in so long, things have been going good, but I kind of hit this brick wall and I don't know where to go from here, or I've got this crisis. And I'm like, there's no need to apologize. I don't need you to call me when things are going great. I need you to think of me instantly when things are not going great.
Right.
Because that's when I can utilize the 15,000 contacts that sit in this phone to leverage every one of them for your benefit. And I'm always willing to do that. And, after the election, the last 330 days, people return my call a little quicker than they used to. No, I'm just kidding. People have been great. I mean, I put people in Luis's lap, and people are fantastic because if you give them an opportunity to engage with somebody for a mentorship or for some guidance, 99 out of 100 times they're going to say not only yes, but hell yes.
Right. And you know what? You bring up another very very good point. How can we use this? How can we use this as a platform to foster that type of environment in our community, right? How can I'm asking you, Brian, right? Because this is something that I feel like I didn't get growing up, right? That could have been super beneficial to me. And when I did get it, not that it was a little too late, but I think the path that I was on, I had already been down the road a little bit, and it has changed, right? But how do we use this as a platform? How do I, Luis Hernandez, and the Go-ABQ platform enter into this community-wide? How do I start that?
I think you just have to be open to it. You got to put it out there, and you just got to say, look, we are an opportunity for you to engage with community. We are a resource to you, and we are a resource that's available to you, and we're 100% open. Like, you hit me up on Facebook, I'm going to respond.
Right.
You see some way for me to engage with you in a manner that's universally beneficial or even individually beneficial, because even when we benefit individuals, there is a collective impact.
Right.
And for me, I remember speaking to a great guy here in town, fosters an inconceivable amount of children, and he has adopted, I want to say a dozen, but I may have it wrong. But Clay is a phenomenal guy, and Clay Schroff has a podcast called Voice of a Lion. And I was, I think I was the inaugural guest. He's had many guests since then, but Voice of a Lion, Clay Schroff and his bride, and they host this thing. And I remember something I said on there, and it was the first time I'd ever said it because it was the way they'd asked the question. But I remember thinking, it's a really great touchstone for me every quarter to think about that. And so what do you want people to say about you, when it's over?
Right.
What do you want your son to remember? And legacy. Thank you. And I want people to really believe that I didn't just go wide, but I went deep.
Right.
So in other words, that the relationship we have is not just a touch, but it is personally significant to both of us.
Right.
That our interactions were not superficial, but that in fact I poured into you in a way that made a difference. And that you knew that when we finished that interaction, that at any moment in time, it could be 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years, you'd be able to reach back out and it'd be comfortable.
Right.
And so I hope that that's part of kind of my post-life narrative. I'm only going to live to 100, so I only got 51 years left. Then I'm checking out. But in 51 years, I hope that that's part of what they said. They said, he lived a life that went wide, but also went deep. And so I think that's got to be the commitment. It's like you want to touch a lot of people, and you got a great platform here online to do that. But you also want to go deep, and that means you got to send out the signal that that's your intention. We have to be intentional about all that we do, and I try and live life with intentionality.
So we're gonna launch the Brian Colón Network within. Well, hold on, you gotta go with me here, right? The Brian Colón Network within the Go-ABQ platform. And what the Brian Colón Network is, it's a network of folks that have
6 degrees of Brian Colón.
stuff that they need to pour into other people.
Yeah.
We won't even call it mentorship or mentors. Just if you have stuff that you need to pour in to other people, right? Yep. And we'll get you aligned with those that need.
I love it.
To be sprinkled.
I love it.
And then we're going to come up with the Brian Colón Award.
Oh, come on. Hey, I bathe in humility every day, you said. So come on now. You can't be doing that. Can't be doing that.
Right.
That stuff's just hardware. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm grateful to receive some of the accolades I've received in my lifetime, and they're all personally significant. But there's nothing more important than having somebody look back and say, I was at a really rough moment in time,
right?
And you poured in,
Right.
and I am where I am today because you believed,
Right.
and you were in my corner. Like, that's the best award ever.
Right.
And hopefully my son knows that he's in a special place, and that I will never pour into anybody more than I pour into him. And he's been the best investment I could ever make with my bride Aleli for the last 23 years. But it's just so awesome to have one child, but to know that you've touched as many lives as I've been given the honor to touch.
And you have.
I just keep on pushing every day.
I sat across the table from you, with things that I thought were, detrimental to my future. And you looked me in the eye and said, those things don't matter. They don't matter. What matters is who you are, and how you go out there and present yourself and engage from here on out.
I remember the conversation well.
Right? See, I'm getting a little teary-eyed here.
I was in your corner, man. I mean, you got a big heart, man,
Still.
and you got a lot to offer, and I'm grateful for you.
Well, and those are the things that we want to do, right? We talk about, growing Albuquerque, growing New Mexico, making our community great, right? Because, and I put out a post that, I believe that Albuquerque is on the cusp of being one of the best cities in America. We just got to keep on pushing for it.
No question. No question. And, stop bagging and start bragging. And,
Right.
and I try and brag on our city every day. And I just couldn't, I couldn't be more proud of us. I mean, I think we've got a lot of issues that we got to give energy, resources, and we have to lean in. But there are so many great things about this community.
Right.
And there's nowhere else I want to live. I mean,
Right.
people say, you think you ever go to Congress, you go to the Senate. No. If I can serve from New Mexico soil right here in Albuquerque, I'll
Right.
do it. But if I got to leave to serve, not a chance.
Not a chance.
Not a
Yeah.
chance. I love this place.
I'm with you. And that's why we want to create that Brian Colón Award, right? So that, and everything that you've been involved in, right? I think Brian Colón has been on every committee
Probably.
in the city. If there's a committee, Brian's been on it. If there's a board, Brian has been on it. But some of the most notable ones is your passion for the Hispanic community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Viva la cultura. I am really, really having a great time serving on the Hispanic Heritage Committee with you for the last several years. I was really humbled to be able to serve as, president of the Spanish Colonial Art Society, which owns Spanish Market and the Museum of Spanish Colonial Art in Santa Fe. One of the only private museums in New Mexico, and it has a phenomenal collection. And Spanish Market, as you know, is huge. And we've really done a lot to create that cultural corridor all the way from Las Cruces up to northern New Mexico. And it's been a real privilege to do that, whether it's serving on those committees or the New Mexico Hispanic Bar Association.
Right.
We've got our reverse raffle coming up, so if you need a raffle ticket, only $100, support New Mexico scholarships. And the summer law camp that we founded about 18 years ago. And, people can call me for those tickets. They're only selling 300 of them. So you got a 1 in 300 chance of winning $3,000.
$3,000.
That's right.
Well,
It's
no,
amazing.
I bring up those things, and not to take away from that particular event there, but I bring up those things because everything that you've been involved in has been in a position to really showcase our rich culture and history, and showcase all the great things that are happening here in the state. And I think that is the epitome of the Brian Colón Award.
You're amazing. You're amazing.
So we're going to create that, right? And here's what it is, right? And I'm just putting this out there publicly because that's how things happen. You got to take action
There you
immediately, right?
Yes.
Tim, the chief hydration officer, is sitting right next to me.
The CHO, baby. That's why he's always looking so good. He's super hydrated.
The chief
Super hydrated.
hydration officer. Hold on, let me just turn this around right here. Let's see. Hold on, let me.
Hey, get fancy.
Actually, I'm doing coffee right now.
let me
You
do
haven't
this
made with
right
can't
there.
get water.
All right. For those of you guys that don't know, this right here is Tim, the chief hydration officer, one of the owners here of the Hydro Bar. I'm not sure if that information has been fully released yet. If not,
It is
don't worry
now.
about it. But it is now, right? The Kangen Water Store, 7400 Montgomery Boulevard Northeast, suite number 19. Right. Tim is very instrumental in showcasing good things in Albuquerque. So instrumental, he decided that in his business, he wanted to provide a platform for people to share whatever good content they wanted to share. And he created the Team Alkaline Livestream Studios.
Soon to be Hydro Bar Studios. Nice, right?
soon to be Hydro
Hydrobar.
Bar Studios. And I got to say that one of the things I love most about Tim and his bride Julie is they pour into their children. You know, Tim's son is here and does great work in the store, and I can't ever interact with him without him bragging on his boy. And I just got to say that that's one of our personal connections, because I know the love between a father and a son is universally spectacular, and I love watching Tim in that regard.
Hey, bud. I appreciate it, Brian. No, it's great to work with your son. You know, I was thinking one day, I said, you know, I could have got into this business like back in 2013 when I first bought one of these machines, but I'm glad I did wait, because, you know, it was a perfect timing to get to open the store with my son Tim. And now we're basically doing this whole thing together, and we're building a really amazing network. We're actually even opening up another partnership store on the west side. So this is growing. And so it's been amazing. Been amazing. I love when you guys come in and utilize the podcast room as well. That's awesome.
It's been fun to watch you on the journey. Here's to your success.
Thank you, Brian.
You bet.
Thank you guys. And we're actually tweaking the name, so it's always going to be Kong and Water. The machines are made from they're a company called Enagic. It's been around for like 45 years, but we kind of want to get our own little branding going, and so the Hydro Bar by Kongan will be the official name. And nothing's going to really change other than for the new location, we're actually going to have a bar that we're going to serve the water at. Not an alcohol bar, a sober bar. And you'll be also be able to get like meal preps and stuff like that. So that's going to be awesome. And we'll probably eventually do meal preps here as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
You guys are doing big things. I like it.
Jumped in.
And we'll get Brian on that. He is a protein fanatic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All the way down to 200 pounds.
That's right.
The protein
People
fanatic.
say, you low carb? I said, no, low carb seems so negative. I'm high protein, baby. High protein. Everything in the positive. Frame it. That positive mental attitude matters. Neuro-linguistic programming. Never underestimate the value.
Not at all. We got to make sure that we speak about the important things, right? And an idea, and I'll share it again. We talked about with Joe earlier is focus is on the wrong things, right? And I use the analogy of what was the last vehicle that you bought, right? And I'll ask you, what was the last vehicle you bought?
Well, I always buy my vehicles from my friends. I've had a fantastic opportunity. I've driven about 130,000 miles around the state of New Mexico in my Lincoln, 2013 Lincoln MKZ, and got 165,000 miles on it now, and I've loved every one of them. It's been real good to me.
I'm topping near 200, so I'm following in your footsteps.
All right.
I don't have a Lincoln, but before you bought that Lincoln, how many of those Lincolns did you see on the streets?
I have no idea. Did I say a bunch? Oh, you're talking about our perception?
How many did you notice?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go, right?
Well, a lot, because it was my dream car.
There you go. That's just an idea, a concept of taking and having focus in the right places, right?
That's right.
When we have something like that happens or occurs in our life, like the purchase of a brand new vehicle, or
I never buy vehicles,
or at least brand new to us, right?
That's right. But look, I there are so many great auto dealers in this town. I tell you what, they're some of the most philanthropic folks around. I got to say that every time I ask those folks to step up and support nonprofits and philanthropy in this community, they say yes.
They do.
I'm grateful.
And you have a lot of that going on. I think somebody coined you as the what was the exact term?
I don't know.
Having to do with raising the bar in terms of fundraising in Albuquerque and really bringing donors to the table like nobody else has
Fanatic
ever.
In philanthropy or something.
Is that
like
something? Is that what it was?
I
What
don't
was?
remember.
What is the next project that you're working on, and where are you raising funds for now?
I appreciate you asking. Right now, I'm focused on Los Ojos de la Familia. They've got their basket program that they're going to have during Christmas. They serve hundreds of families in this community. They do it in a spectacular way that engages other young people through the DECA organization and through many organizations here in town. They allow them to actually understand what it is to engage with people in need and meet that need, and that's really super rewarding. But so we're raising a little bit of money for Los Ojos de la Familia, and I'm happy to have people contact me about that. We're taking cash donations, and my number is 505-270-2154. That's that cell number, 505-270-2154. Happy to have it out there in the universe. Nobody ever abuses it, which I appreciate. And when people engage with me, it makes me a more enriched human being. I'll just say that I also want to say thanks, Luis. As you know, my father was 49 years when he passed away. I buried him when he was 49. I was a teenager, and this year I'm 49 years old. And so I made a commitment to honor the Muscular Dystrophy Association.
Yes.
And raise a little bit of money for them. I had a goal to raise $20,000 to $25,000 for them over a little lunch at the National Hispanic Cultural Center, tacos and paletas. Thanks, Pop Fizz, for partnering with me on that. And as I sit here today, I'm still shocked that a week ago we raised $50,000 for the Muscular Dystrophy Association over tacos and paletas. And it exceeded every one of my expectations. And all I did was put it out on Facebook, called a few friends and said, will you step up and join me in this effort to honor my father's legacy and memory and support the Muscular Dystrophy Association. We netted $50,000 on that event.
I'm going to say that number is probably going to continue to grow.
Well, we had a conference call yesterday, and they said they were wrong when they reported out what people who had already bought tickets to go to this event, pay $100 to have lunch with me. That the appeal at the event raised another $7,600 is what they told me. They said, well, we need to tell you that we've called and followed through on some of those pledges, and it looks like we're going to be pushing $10,000 just in the appeal at the event. And we had folks like Delta Dental of New Mexico.
Yes,
and,
great story.
Just step up, and I called them up, and I said, look, this isn't one of those marketing opportunities. This is going to be a very small luncheon, but I need you to help pay for lunch. Western Skies, I need you to pay for lunch so that when people write me a $100 check, they know it's all going to the Muscular Dystrophy Association. And they said, we know it's not a marketing opportunity, but we want to support your work. And they did, and it turned out to be a marketing opportunity because over 300 people were present, and we raised over $50,000. I mean, it was unbelievable.
You know, and that's important as well. You know, as we engage with opportunities to support the nonprofit community, right? Is really an understanding of how those dollars are being used, right?
Yep.
When you can say effectively, wholeheartedly, and you know 500%, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that 100% of the dollars are going towards the cause, man, it doesn't get any better than that.
It's huge. I mean, you got Rhino Roofing, who purchased 2 tables out of the blue, TLC Plumbing, Robles, Ryan, and I. So many of these firms just stepped up and said, we want to help. And I can't name them all, but I can tell you there's a lot of gratitude.
There's a bunch. Well, I'll tell you what, I hadn't been out in quite some time. I went to the luncheon, and I reconnected with lots of folks that I hadn't seen in quite some time. Speaking of reconnecting, Patricia Chavez, she says, I love our state auditor, Brian Colón.
PLC Enterprises, baby. She is amazing. Patricia El Chavez.
Yes. She says, thank you for continuing to make a difference for many in our state of New Mexico. She's another one. She is another one.
She's another one. Hashtag in your corner.
In your corner. Yes. She's
a great advocate for our community.
She invited me to come out to Trisco Heritage Academy to talk to an entrepreneurship program they have out there. You were there. I was in contention for the craziest sock contest against you. According to the students, you beat me. I was wearing my Daddy Shark socks.
Your daddy
Does it say
It does. It does. I've always got crazy socks. You know what? I got to tell you, there's a quick funny story, and I know we got to wrap it up, and I'm happy to do that. But I got to give you this quick story. Ann Rhodes, who's one of the founders and visionaries of JetBlue, who also built Southwest Airlines. She's a phenomenal leader here in Albuquerque. She has a great company called People Inc., and she helps businesses with their human resources, and that allows those human resources to be driven by corporate values and the values that the leadership embraces. But anyway, Ann preceded me as president of the UNM Alumni Association, and there was this big event to turn over the gavel, and she got up with this big box wrapped with a beautiful bow, and she said in front of all these folks, she said, I'm going to say something that no one's ever said about Brian Colón. And I had no idea what she was going to say, and the audience got real quiet. And she said, Brian, you're just too damn conservative. And she said, as it relates to your socks, I am so tired of seeing your black socks. And she handed me the box. I opened it up, and there were about 30 pairs of Neiman Marcus crazy socks. And ever since that moment in time, I wear crazy socks only. And so it's, she said, every CEO in the Fortune 500 company is wearing socks that have style. She said, it's time for you to come into this century and wear some socks with some class.
All right. We want to see your socks.
Okay.
You got to put them up on the table.
I don't know if that's going to work, buddy.
Here, hand me a camera and I can.
Let me see. We're trying to get a look at Brian's socks here.
It says cerveza with a smile. Sounds good to me.
There you go, cerveza with a smile. Those are Brian Colón socks.
The irony is I never drink in public, and so it's no one's ever seen me with a beer in my hand. But
It's the beer on your sock.
a beer on my sock. There you go.
Yeah.
But I do always have crazy socks. These were one of the pairs. This pair of socks was a gift from Kim Wong, former owner of Bert's Tiki Lounge.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Good.
Fantastic. So all kinds of fun things that
Absolutely.
are coming up. What about for the community to get involved with your office? Where is your next tour stop?
You know, that's a great question. I know I'm headed out to Gallup tomorrow, so I'll be up in that community tomorrow. I think I head south again in the next few weeks. During the holidays, we'll take our foot off the gas just a little bit because of staff breaks and resources, but we'll crank it up again after the first of the year. We'll be out on the road. So maybe I can come in again and give you my schedule.
Absolutely. Well, you know what we should do? I've been known to be one of those documenter type of guys. Maybe we can hit the streets with you.
That'd be great. I loved having you in that parade with me. That was great.
Well, I'm talking about in your tour here. Maybe not myself personally, but maybe we can equip one of your staff members with some of these phones and microphones, and just document a day in the life of the New Mexico State Auditor, and all the wonderful things that you get to do, and conversations, all that good stuff. It's
a wonderful life.
It
I got to
is.
tell you. People say, "Man, you're so busy." I say, "Look, let me be very clear. I'm never busy.
Right.
My schedule is robust. My days are enriched, but I am never busy, and I've always got time for more."
I like that. If everybody took on that mindset, that mentality, and I'll tell you, we talk about this all the time, right? About always being in the constant place where you're learning new things, right? We learn as much as we can. But one of those ideas and concepts is that when you feel like you don't have enough time, that means that you're not committed to whatever it is, right? Because there's plenty enough time.
I've always got room for more.
Always got room for more. Committed. That is Brian Colón, committed, coming at you live from Team Alkaline Livestream Studios here inside of the Kangen Water Store, a.k.a. the Hydro Bar, right? If you are not hydrated, shame on you, right? If you want to get hydrated, Brian Colón, tell us about your experience with Kangen Water.
It's 100% positive. Let me tell you, if you want to get hydrated, you got to call Tim. Tim's got a great opportunity here for you. His son's an even better salesman than he is, which is hard to believe because this guy could sell ice to Eskimos on any given day that ends in Y.
Amen to that, right?
All true.
Amen
All
to that,
true.
right? Brian, thank you so much. Thank you
honor.
so much for being here. I appreciate friendship. More importantly, I appreciate the work that you're doing here in the community. I appreciate, the work that you're doing to showcase all the wonderful things that we have in our community, all the wonderful people that we have in our community. But more importantly, I thank you for holding, people accountable.
My pleasure, privilege, and honor to do so, my friend.
Yes.
We'll look forward to seeing you again soon. It was great to be in
Yes.
studio with you.
You too.
I don't want to
Yes.
be
Thanks for joining.
left out of the high five mode there.
Yeah.
Never
Get a
left
little-
out of the high five. So.
Getting all celoso.
High fives all
I
over.
know that nobody's ever had you participate in this way, but can you please take us out by song, by way of song?
Hey,
Sing-
you know
sing
what?
for us.
Well, when's your birthday? Is it birthday time?
No, not my birthday.
I don't really sing any songs.
No birthday suits or anything like that.
Hey, now, easy. All right, we're gonna let Luis Hernandez Jr. take it away.
Yeah.
All right, we're not going to take it away. I'm not going to sing for you guys, but I will say, hey, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for tuning in. If you have questions for Brian Colón, his phone number is listed in the comments there. Reach out to his office, if you want to share some information or if you want to ask information. It works either way. Make sure that you reach out. If you want to be a guest on the show, well, become a member of the Go-ABQ platform, and we'll make sure that happens for you. And Kelsey,
Yes.
are we going to do this? You're going to help me.
Help you what? I'm
She's-
not singing.
She is not going to help me. She's not going to sing.
She's
You
not.
don't want me to.
No, we
I do lots of other things.
Sing the Happy
Not
Thanksgiving song. Sing the Happy Thanksgiving song.
we're not. She's not going to sing for
I
us.
can do a chair dance.
Yeah,
You sing.
she's not going to sing for us, but we are going to go to great lengths to take massive action on some of these new things that we discussed right here
Lots of good
in this show,
brainstorming.
which is all this good Brian stuff. And, great things happen when you take action, right?
Absolutely.
That's all we're going to say. Know when to hold them,
Know when to fold them.
right? Spoken like a true champ. Who sang that song?
Kenny Rogers,
Kenny
baby.
Rogers.
Oh, yeah.
All
Oh,
right.
yeah.
A little karaoke contest.
That was a tough one. I'm glad we got that right.
All right, we're going to take some time for a selfie, but for all you guys out there in Facebook land, or if you guys are watching the live broadcast on YouTube, or if you've tuned in from TikTok or wherever else you're at, thank you guys for joining us. We certainly do appreciate spending time with you and you spending time with us, and we look forward to seeing you guys soon. Next week, Tuesday it is. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.